We're in kind of I guess the inside of Big Brutus, and it is massive on the interior. It's not like anything you would expect to see in a crane. There's no way to explain the scale of this crane. Right through here is a crew break room. It was the only place on the entire crane that was air conditioned, which would be a huge thing because it's a cool day and it's even warm in here. The main operator of the bucket was out in this area, and he would be able to sit here and he could see, you know, the operation of the bucket and everything from this location. I'm not sure exactly how many people worked on the crane. I'll have to look it up and tell you. There was an operator there. There were some people who did some maintenance type things as they were operating. There was an oil man, and there was also an operator on the ground who actually moved the tracks forward. That was his job. He took orders from the man up here that was working the bucket. And anyway, there were a couple of little hoists. And this was the hoist that they would use to bring up oil barrels and things because they had to lubricate all this machinery in here. And as you can see, it is a very windy day here in Kansas. Down below us, there are a few little places in the floor with hatches. And down below us is the ballast that was used to keep the crane from tipping over when they were shoveling. It held 1.7 million pounds of ballast to counteract the amount of weight that would be in the bucket. Again, just the scale of this machine is unbelievable. Look at the size of these turnbuckles. It's just amazing. And this is the elevator. It was the only way to get into the house. That's what they called this level of the crane when the crane was in operation. So this was the only way to get up here when the crane was working. I kind of feel like I'm on a submarine, all these hatches. Watch your head. We're underneath Big Brutus now, and here's the bottom of that elevator we were talking about just a few minutes ago. It would have been a much easier way to get up and down than the way we were having to do it. This is one of the sets of tracks, and I say sets because there's 4 of them and there's 2 tracks on each set. Each one of these could articulate and move separately. So, like I said before, there was an operator down here that strictly worked the tracks, and he was under the direction of the guy up in working the bucket, the controller working the bucket up top. And anyway, again, they're just massive. This is where the groundman stood. He had this operating panel that he would use to maneuver all the crawlers around, and he would do it whatever instructions were given to him up top by the controller that was actually working the bucket. I'm in this massive bucket that belongs to Big Brutus. Big Brutus didn't actually mine the coal. All it did was remove the extra material for some of the other machines to do, to actually excavate the coal, and it was strip mining, so they were just scooping right off the surface. This area has lots of deposits of coal that were left over from when this was all a seabed. And this is the last area that was excavated by Big Brutus before it was decommissioned. Well, Big Brutus here could lift about 150 tons of material in this bucket, and then it could dump it about 150 feet away. So it was really a machine that could do a lot. The sad thing was that they railed in pieces of Brutus, and it was assembled here on the site. And it wasn't used that many years, and it became obsolete. By the time they got it here and got it assembled, it was obsolete. And it was way too expensive to disassemble it and move it when they stopped the mining in the area. And so here it sits. But it's a wonderful thing for us to see and kind of understand mining back in this area during that time. There was a tri-state area that was prolific with a lot of mining. We're outside of Big Brutus, and this is that hoist where we were standing on the inside, and that's where they lifted up the oil and everything that was needed on the inside. And it really doesn't look as big out here as it was inside. It was just massive there on the inside. We are in Picher, Oklahoma, which is a ghost town. Look at these homes back behind us that are vacant and have been just, everything's ripped out of them. In 1913, some people were digging a well here and they discovered lead, and it led to lead and zinc mining in this area. And so you can see the big mounds of dirt or ground back here behind these houses, and it's all toxic waste. It's contaminated with lead. The groundwater is all contaminated with the lead and the zinc. Picher was a vibrant community up until, at the latest, it was in 2006. There were still people living here, but the EPA has deemed it as the most toxic city in the U.S. The ground underneath this is even unstable, and there have been cave-ins and things. They say even like homes and everything could really just fall into the ground. So, Picher, Oklahoma, kind of a sad and eerie ghost town. Just never know what you're going to find. This is Mickey Mantle's boyhood home here in Oklahoma. He grew up here. His dad worked in one of the zinc mines around, and he grew up here. The house is not open to tour, but over here to the side, this old tin shed was where they used it as a backstop, and his dad would pitch to him. So Mickey Mantle of New York Yankees fame grew up in Oklahoma. Who knew? See my burger? Looks pretty good. Got all the stuff on it. Ron's is pretty plain, but I have all the vegetables. Make my hamburger healthy. Miami has the historic Coleman Theater, which also houses the gift shop for Route 66 and the Tourist Information Center. But it's a venue. They use it for events as well. just a really pretty old building. The Coleman Theater was built in 1929 and has been in continuous use since then. It even still has the old Wurlitzer pipe organ that was used originally in the building. The theater started in the vaudeville days, and it's currently used at this time for different programs and events. Well, we found the Route 66 sign, the gateway to the U.S., and we have been all the way at the other end of Route 66 in Santa Monica. We've never been to the origins of Route 66, so I guess the next we're going to have to try to do that. Okay, my bad. They close at 3 on Saturday. It's 3:30. And walking up, I looked at their sign. It says cinnamon rolls. They're one of my favorites. And it looks really cute. I guess we'll have to come back and try it another time.